And today's custom PC is built into this little Allied PC case. It's something I bought on a whim over a year ago and just got around to building into now. It's a compact little case, but it did come with these two 120mm ARGB intake fans. And the front panel in the case is mesh, so I always like to see that for good airflow. There's a button up here to control the color scheme of the case fans. Right beside that is a reset button, USB 3, USB 2.0, microphone and headphone jack, another USB 2.0, and the power button. And for reference, this case is 12 inches wide and about 13 3/4 inches tall. And up here we have about 6.5 inches. So that's one reason why I had to install a smaller CPU cooler. But let's get this plastic panel off and take a better look inside. And that CPU cooler is a CoolerMaster Hyper T20 with a 90mm fan attached to it. Underneath that cooler is a Intel Core i3-10100F CPU with 4 cores and 8 threads. Beside that is 16 GB of Kuesuny 2666 MHz RAM. And this is a Gainward GeForce GTX 1660 Super graphics card with 6 GB of GDDR6 memory. Over here we have Windows 11 installed onto a Timetec MS09 512GB NVMe solid state drive running at speeds of PCIe 3x4. It's pretty tight in this case, but these two air intake fans provide some pretty good airflow, and the CPU cooler mixed with this little 80mm air exhaust fan, I found the temperatures to be perfectly fine. The motherboard is a MSI PRO H510M-B. No real frills and gimmicks, just your basic style motherboard. Powering it all is this Corsair semi-modular CX450M 450-watt power supply. Moving on to the rear I/O of the motherboard, we have an HDMI and VGA port that we can't use with this CPU because there are no integrated graphics. 4x USB 2.0, a mouse and keyboard PS2 port, 2x USB 3.2 Gen 1, gigabit RJ45 Ethernet port, audio ports, and on the rear of the graphics card, which for clarification is the Gainward GTX 1660 Super Chasing Wind Edition, there's a DVI port, HDMI 2.0, and DisplayPort 1.4a. For the first round of tests, let's check out the video encoding and video rendering. For the rendering and encoding tests, I decided to compare the last time I had the exact same GPU installed in the system, and that was with an i5-10400. So the main difference being the CPU and the RAM. For the DaVinci Resolve render, we came in at 4 minutes and 59 seconds, while the i5-10400 was 3 minutes and 58 seconds, leading to a 1 minute and 1 second difference. So that could be substantial if you're doing a lot of rendering, but otherwise that's not too bad. Moving on to the CPU encoding in Handbrake 1.9.0, we saw a difference of 2 minutes and 34 seconds, with the i5-10400 coming out on top. And testing out the GTX 1660 Super encoding time, we only had a difference of 7 seconds, again with the i5-10400 system coming out on top. Of course, with the difference of a 6-core 12-thread CPU and 4-core 8-thread CPU, you probably expect that one would be better than the other. However, I think this is a good comparison because the same motherboard can be used for that upgrade, and if you're starting out with that i3, you can upgrade to that i5 eventually, or beyond the i7 or i9. And before we get to the gaming results, I just want to say thank you very much for checking out my video. Being two single guys just working on computers all the time, we probably have a lot of extra time to answer your comments. Especially if you're using a setup like this in 2025, definitely let us know. Otherwise, have a great day and enjoy the gaming tests.